What is up, everyone? Welcome back to our lawn, and I have a putting green in my backyard. And what I talk about in a lot of videos is trying to help people have a green in their own backyard. And an important aspect of that, and what I want to talk about in this video, is covering what does it cost to have a putting green in your yard. So let's talk about it. And the short answer is it can cost almost literally whatever you want it to cost. And a little bit more context to that comment is you can have anything from a department store bought manual reel mower cutting at a ½ an inch, and you call that your putting green, and that's going to cost you $20 to $100 depending which one you buy and if you buy it used or new, all the way up through. And if you have the space for something like what Jeremy over at Spud Run Golf has, where I think he put out a video that he'd spent $30,000+ in 2022. By the way, if you haven't, go subscribe to Spud Run Golf. Content over there, fantastic. Tell him I sent you. What I want to do this video is literally talk about what I have spent to this point and what that money got me. So let's start with what I would call phase one. Phase one was the manual department store reel mower, which I then upgraded to a McLean walk-behind reel mower that I got on Facebook Marketplace. So let's talk about that phase. That phase, all it cost me was $80 for a Great States mower. I bought about $50 worth of play sand and bags, and then I went to my local quarry with my father-in-law's truck and got $50 worth of sand, and that is the extent of my expenditure. So about $180. I used the existing soil, my existing yard, the existing grass, and I fertilized it exactly the same way as I fertilized the rest of my yard. And what did that get me? Well, it didn't get me a putting green, but it did get me something that I could chip balls to, something that my son and I would go out on and hit putts to tees. They didn't roll very pure, they didn't roll very fast, but it gave us something to do, and it was kind of intriguing and a fun experiment to go down. And phase two is going to require the purchase of a greens mower. Whichever company, whichever brand, it doesn't really matter. If your long-term intent is to get down to greens heights, I would say try to find something that's 11 blade or more. You could go 14 blade as well. However, that's a little bit less versatile. And I have been pretty lucky my whole experience with purchasing greens mowers. I got the Jacobsen for $750. I got the Greensmaster for $300, and I got the 180B for $225. All of those purchases came December of 20 through the end of 21. If you're only managing a green, you only need one mower. I have three because they're kind of finicky to change heights, and I am managing 3 different sections of my yard at 3 different heights. I have the green, the fairway, and the side yard. So here to start this phase, we need to just get into some sort of greens mower, and I would say conservatively, and maybe even not conservatively anymore, that's probably about $1,000 investment. Now, I've had the Jacobsen serviced and ground. I've had the Toro serviced and ground. I've had the John Deere serviced and ground. When I say ground, I mean sharpening the reel. That was $480, $450, and $330 for those services and to get it sharpened. So now we're starting to get into a little bit more significant costs that you want to be able to consider. So as I walk through 2021 and 2022 on equipment alone, I have spent $2,500 on greens mowers to date between the purchase and the service. So now we're into something that kind of works. It's a little long, it's a little slow, but between the sand that we're putting on it and the greens mower that we have something that's functional. We have something that will roll a ball, and I'm 3 seasons in now on what to you would be about figure $1,300 for the mower and an annual maintenance, and about $200 in sand. And now we're going to go into what has been phase 3 of the practice facility, which is expansion of the fairway, overseeding and seeding bent grass in to expand and improve my existing facility, and bringing in some additional products that I have not used elsewhere in the yard. Now, what did this entail? Well, this entailed me buying 5-pound bags of 007 bent grass and flagstick bentgrass seed. Those were $100 each at the time, so now I'm in for $200 worth of seed. I also got much more consistent in the way of plant growth regulator and got into using that more consistently, and I have a gallon of T-Nex, which I now use in my whole yard, but for the putting green and practice facility specifically, I got that for it. That's about $170 for the gallon. Now that gallon's gonna last me years, but it is $170 that we've spent on that gallon. I also got more serious about my sand selection, since there is a very small chance that going with masonry sand with the very small particle type that might start to compact and cause some issues. So I went and I found a supplier in my area, Wapaka Sand and Gravel, that sells a fines-free, closer to USGA spec sand. And that sand, while not grossly expensive itself at about $22, $23 per ton, was very expensive to get to my house. So I got $220 worth of sand, about 10 tons. That was delivered to my house. Should have been about for just under $500. And that sand allowed me to manage the frequent and light top dressing on the green, fully top dress the fairway twice, and top dress my side yard once. And there's about, I'm gonna say, a third of it left. So if you look at last year, which was kind of the all-in phase 3 program on about 5,000 square feet, I spent $150 per thousand. Now that does include seeding, which is 60 of those $150 per thousand, for a total expenditure on the year on the practice facility of about $240 in product and seed. So with what we talked about, phase 1 total, phase 2 total, last year's total can get you a sense of what I've spent over the last 3 years and what it might cost you. And what I would expect to pay going forward is somewhere around $100 per thousand overall on applications for the year, and probably averaging about $150 to $200 or so in equipment maintenance on an annual basis to maintain your putting green. Some other accessory expenses that I've had is the flag and the cup, the hole cutter, and the level rake. Those three together, those are again one-time costs, but those three together were about $450. And so there you go, there's what I've spent to this point. Hopefully there's something in that you can find helpful. Let me know if you have any questions on anything that I've talked about and what I've done to this point. Please feel free to ask those in comments below. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel and follow along to everything we're doing here in our lawn. Like the video if you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Second hole is the longest on the course from over here in the corner. You have to hit it harder than you think. It's a little further away than it looks. Just a little long. I've hit it to like a foot once, but that's about as good as you're gonna do.